Alright, David Harry here, and in this video I'm going to be building an Intel NUC. Now, whether the terminology is build or put together or construct, I'm not entirely sure, but when you look around like, YouTube and stuff, the general term is building a PC. People don't tend to say I'm constructing or whatnot. So as much as what I think building might be pushing it a little bit, because let's face it, we're not actually making all the little tiny components, we're not making all the metal work and the plastic. So really, to say you're building something, I think maybe that's pushing it a bit. But this is how descriptions on YouTube are quite often put: building PCs, building whatever to do with computers. So I'm gonna have to stick with this one. So today we're gonna be building a NUC. Or more precisely, we're going to be timing how long it takes. Anyone who's seen some of my other videos knows that I love using NUCs, and I've done a few videos about them and whatnot. But the one thing that I've never really done is timed it to see how long it takes to put one together. So what I'm going to do in this video is very specifically see how long it takes from beginning to end. And when I say beginning to end, I mean from opening the boxes and then putting the stuff in until I finally put the last tightened screw in. How long that whole process takes. So in order to do this, what it is, to be very fair and for it to be representative of how the average time for these things would normally be, two things. One, I can't fly through the video like a complete and utter lunatic trying to break a land speed record, because that's not going to help anyone. I mean, I dare say I could do this in my sleep, or I could at least do it blindfolded. It'd be like that scene, is it Sergeant Pyle, is it Platoon, where he's got to put his M16 together and all that, and in the end he becomes really in love with his M16 and goes mad. Well, yeah, I can do that, but with a NUC. So basically, yes, I could flash through this, but I won't, because that won't be very representative of how most people would approach these things. And also because I do talk a lot, and because this is showing people things, I have to be careful as to how much talking I do when I'm doing the actual construction bit, and only because I don't want to be doing it too slow so as to put so I don't want to put people off. People might go, oh, that takes too long to do, don't know if I fancy doing that. So I've got to be careful, try stay somewhere in the middle of being too slow and too fast. So what I'm going to do now is just briefly explain a little bit more about things so I can get the talky stuff out the way as much as possible, so that when I get into it I don't have to keep explaining things. So with a NUC, there's really only two things that you have to be concerned with, and that is memory and storage. So for this particular one, I'm going to be using 2 sticks of RAM. I've never come across a NUC that uses 4 slots. There may well be some out there. If they are, they're quite rare, I would imagine, but I've never seen one. So I'm going to use 2 sticks for the 2 slots for RAM. Also, this particular NUC has an M.2 socket on the board, and it also has a SATA as well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to use an M.2 SSD. Now this is a SATA variety, but it doesn't matter whether you're using a SATA M.2 or an NVMe M.2. Both of them are physically going to be the same for putting into a NUC. So the thing that makes them identical in this sense is just how they screw in, that's all. So you have a slot in the front and a screw in the back. So both of them would fit in identically. So don't worry whether it's a SATA or an NVMe M.2. And then just as well, for the 2.5-inch space in here for SATA, I'm going to use one of these. Now this is a bit old and whatnot. It's just I don't have a SATA SSD just to hand at the moment, so I've just dug into a pile of hard drives. I have tons of hard drives because I still use hard drives mostly for mid to long term storage, because I'd never use SSDs for that, or certain other types of similar types of RAM to SSDs. I won't get bogged down with that. There's problems with doing that. Hard drives are your best friend for that type of stuff. So in this instance, I'm just going to use one of these. And all this is, it's just an old drive where I've got a ton of music files on. Basically, this is my favorite band in the world, Devo. And these are all my iTunes encodes for them, and also my WAVs as well for all my CDs that I've got of Devo. So I'll throw that in for a laugh. Okay, so I think I've explained everything there. So I'm going to do, somewhere in post, I will put up a clock somewhere on the screen, highly likely to be a SIMT time code generated by Edius, which is the NLE that I use. So what I'm going to do shortly, I'm going to say go, start filming it, and well, let's just we'll just see how far I get with this. Now, bear in mind, it's all one take. It has to be, just, you know, for the nature of the type of video, because it's a timing of a build. There's going to be mistakes, definitely. I'll say stupid things. The camera's going to go out of focus, all kinds of stuff. But this is to give us a really good indication. Now, if you miss certain things in this video, I've done a couple of videos to do with, you know, putting stuff together with NUCs and that. So have a look at them. Maybe have a look at some of the videos on YouTube. But this one is very specifically just to give us an idea of how quickly, or the average, not how quickly, but just how long does it take. Okay, so I'm going to start the clock now. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just, let me just move these things out the way first. Oh yeah, I say I'm not going to get bogged down talking about stuff, but straight away I'm going to do it. Look at this. I'm using the thing here, a screwdriver from Be Quiet. This come with the Dark Rock 4 Pro or whatever, the fan, the cooling system for the CPU. Not only is it an ace cooler, the actual screwdriver is awesome. So I'm going to be using that in this. Right, so let me just open up the NUC. Now, I'm not going to get bogged down with what's inside the NUC. I've done unboxings of NUCs and stuff in the past. The important thing here is that we just get the NUC out and get it prepared and ready to put the things in it. Now, as part of putting the things in it, I always use like a little small cloth to put the things like NUCs on. Just helps to keep them scratch free and whatnot. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just whiz out these 4 screws holding everything in. Let's have a go at this. Now, my hand's definitely going to get in the way doing some of this stuff, but I'll be explaining what I'm doing basically as I'm doing it. So even if I kind of do get in the way on some of it, you know, it won't be a big issue. Okay, and also I'm going to be doing a lot of filler as far as dialogue is concerned whilst I'm doing these bits, because like I said before, I can't speed through this. I'm not going to speed anything up. This is going to be, you know, real time. How long does this take? So unfortunately, the elements of it where it does slow down a little bit, like this, all the physical stuff, I will have to just try and like pad it out of it with dialogue. I mean, some of my friends are going to be sitting there and they'll be going, Dave, there's no worry with that. You just don't know when to shut up anyway. But I don't want to try and talk about stuff that's got nothing to do with the build, because as we'll find out, like I just did with the screwdriver, start talking about stuff and just going off on, like, you know, tangents. Right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to keep this open like this for now. And in fact, you know what, let me just open these things up, because what I'm going to do is I will refocus, or I'll zoom in and refocus the camera. So I'm just going to pop out the RAM out of the box here. So like I say, basically prep everything, get it all ready to slot in, and straight away he's hit a hurdle. What it is, I always get really freaked with RAM now when you try to get them out, because you think, oh, you might snap bits off and stuff. Maybe I just get I think too hard about this stuff instead of just getting in there and just ripping it out. But there we go. There's the RAM. So let me throw the box to one side. I've also got this smaller screwdriver, which will become apparent shortly as to why I've got that. And then what I'll do, let me just get this SSD out of its box. And then there's the other hard drive there as well. So I'll just get that to one side. Now what I'm going to attempt to do is just get in on this, only because I think maybe the closer I get to this, and the chances are I'll probably do this in 4K as well. So what I'm going to do, I'll do a manual focus here, if you give us a second. Hold on. Right, so just give me 1 second. What it is, I'm just going in, I'm just going to a blown version here until, right, so I'm going to set focus on the writing here. Okay, I reckon I'm in focus. So I'm in focus for the writing there on the sockets for the RAM. Let me just come out of my focus magnification. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, we should be able to see most things here now, you know, kind of like in focus, right? So I'm going to do, the first thing is apply the RAM, right? So what I'm going to do here is put these RAM sticks in. Now what you're going to notice as well straight away, you can't put these in the wrong way round. There's a notch on the RAM, and that notch lines up with a notch on the socket there. So what I'm going to do is put that one in, and then it's like, but it won't go in. Well, Dave, that's because you've just said there's a notch that has to line up. So we turn it round, and then magically there's a notch that lines up, and then just push it backwards into that slot, and then push it down, and then what will happen, this silver bit and this silver bit here will clamp the RAM like that. Now usually you'd be job done there, but I just put the second one in first, so let me put it in the right socket first. Okay, so there's the first one in, so I'll go to the second one, exactly the same thing, just get it into there, push it down, boom, jobs are good. And now what I'm going to do, let me just twist this round a bit here. Now the other thing is, I'm trying to get this done in such a way so it's good for you to see, not for me, so I can't actually see things properly here. This is going to be fun. So what it is, here is our M.2 socket. So there's the slot there that the drive plugs into, and then at the back there's a little standoff with a screw in. So what we need to do is take the screw out. Hopefully we can see that. What I may end up doing in post, I may zoom in a bit further in post for some of this. So this is probably the fiddliest bit here, is to get this screw out. I mean, I've only got small hands and stuff, so it's quite easy for me to do this stuff. But if you've got like big fat fingers and stuff like that, you might find that a bit of a pain. But to be honest, it's the most difficult thing in here as far as I'm concerned. And then what you do, you get your what's name, your M.2, and pop it in there. Now what you're going to find, this one has got a slot on it, right? Or it's got a notch. So if you have a look on the socket here, we can see a notch there. Now what you're going to find, if you turn that RAM around that way, sorry, not RAM, sorry, SSD. If you turn it around that way, you're going, oh, it won't go in. Well, the reason why it won't go in is because that's the wrong way around. But if you put it the right way around like that, again, similar to the RAM, it can only go in the one way because of that guide pin there. So there we go, that's in now. So all we have to do is screw it down onto that little standoff with this screw. Now, usually what I would recommend is definitely use a magnetic screwdriver. The only problem is my magnetic screwdrivers, I think they're too big for this particular screw. So I'm just going to have to try and fudge this. So what I'm going to do is try and put the screw in a little bit, like kind of sit it over the hole and try and hold it with my fingers. And then, now see, there's a problem straight away. The screw's dropped in. Now, I'm not going to edit this out because this is meant to be, you know, real world. Now, there is what it is, the screwdriver that I've got here is slightly magnetic. It's not magnetic enough to hold the screw to put it in, but I can sometimes fish things out with it. That's not happening, so let me just whiz this upside down and get the screw out. Okay, so I've got the screw out. Now, the thing is, I'm leaving all this in because this is definitely representative of what people have to go through in order to do these things. Okay, so I'm going to try that again. Right, so balance it over that screw hole. Like I say, you use a magnetic screwdriver to do this stuff. There is absolutely no problems whatsoever. So what it is, I've just basically put it over the hole and give it a slight twist so it so it kind of grabs it. And then I'll just finish the job off, throwing it in there with the screwdriver. Okay, so what it is so far, if all you were doing was put an M.2 SATA or M.2 NVMe and a couple of sticks of RAM, that'd be it then. And you just go back to just popping the base back on. But I'm going to be putting this drive in as well. Now what's worth noting here is I'm not going to be screwing it down. And the reason is, and I'll show you this now when it goes in, is because this is like a vice, like a clamp. So what we've got here is the SATA, like the SATA holder, or the SATA 2.5-inch bay. And if we can have a little look down there, we can see at the back is like the opposite to what we've got here. Again, focusing is going to be a bit mad here, but what it is, that's your SATA, and then that's your power, or is it the other way around? Whatever. These two sockets here are SATA and power. And if we have a look down through there, it's exactly the same. So as far as the SATA socket is concerned, this one, it lines up with the one down at the back down there. So obviously that has to go that way in. So what I'm going to do is just pop this in like this. And then once it gets down to the bottom, it just requires a little bit of a push like that. And then you can feel that it's in. Now the reason why I'm not screwing this one in is because we can see from the side here, hopefully. Let's see if I can point at it with something a bit better. So if I use this screwdriver, if we look there and point at that, again, it's not going to be totally in focus. In fact, let me try and see. I shouldn't have started doing this thing, focusing things, but let me just see if I can get this on the go. So basically, if you have a look at this here, it's got these little grips on. Now, honestly, they grip it solid. So that's the reason why you probably won't have to screw these in. So I won't definitely be screwing it in for this case, because there's no point in it. It's held in like a vice. So I'm going to do here, let me just put the camera back to auto. Okay, so hopefully, is that on auto? Is that going to focus? Yes. Right, so what it is, I'm putting the camera back to auto because right now I think for anything that needed to be close up, I've done it all. And then what we do, we just simply pop this back in. Now what you'll tend to find as well, just so you can orientate your way back in, you'll find a pad here underneath. This is on most NUCs, you'll have something similar, and it's just like a thermal and protective pad, and it tends to go over the M.2, so you'll know which way to put this back in. But also what you'll find is that there are notches. Oh, I've just hit the camera. So there's notches as you go around here, and they can only line up one way as well. So again, you can only put this in the one way. So let me just screw this back on. I mean, I'd say, I don't know how long this has taken me so far, because I'm going to have to do shortly. I'm going to have to, before I do the end pieces, have a quick look and time the clip just to see how long it's taken. So if you just bear with us, right, because what I'm going to do, I need to hit a point where I say stop, and that is like, yes, I put it together and this should be how long. But I think we could safely take off 2 or 3 minutes from whatever it is that I come up with here, because of all the talking that I've had to do as well. Well, not had to, because some of it was unnecessary. Right, so stop. Okay, so whatever this time is now, let me just put the camera back wide. So whatever this time is now, that I think is safely how long it takes to build or construct or put together a NUC. So give me 1 second, I just need to have a quick flash through this video, get the timing of it, and then come back and do the end piece. Okay, so I've just had a quick look at some of the timings there, and that's come out at 12 minutes and 18 seconds for the the build period of the video. And like I said there, there's a fair amount of talking that I was doing, which was like, extending the time to take doing that. And I'd say at least 3 minutes there of possibly unnecessary waffle. So I'm going for anywhere between 8 to 10 minutes, I would say, would be the average of what that process was just then. So I think I would safely say that the average person could do this in anywhere between 8 to 10 minutes. And so hopefully what this video has done is to encourage people who might need just that last little nudge into wanting to do this for themselves, and give them that last little push to go, yeah, do it, because end of the day, it is not that difficult, and it doesn't take too long to do either. and it's not like you're building like a workstation or putting a workstation together. Now there's going to be links in the descriptions below for a bunch of stuff to do with like the NUCs and whatnot. Also, I'll have links in there for earth straps as well. Now, although you don't see me using an earth strap, what it is, I will pre-discharge before I do stuff like this and whatnot, or I may even use an earth strap that's just not visible. Usually you'd see it on people's wrists and whatnot. But the thing what I would say is, don't do anything like this without using an earth strap. And if you see people without you who don't seem to be wearing any when they do these types of videos, it's not because they haven't got them on, or it's not because they're not discharged either. But rather than get into all that stuff, safer to say, just wear one, and there will be links to them within the descriptions to do with components and whatnot for the NUCs and what have you. Okay, so bottom line, hopefully this video has like answered the question, how long on average would it take to build a NUC? And hopefully also what it's done is encourage people to go out and do it for themselves, because I know you could probably pay somebody else to do this for you, but if you could save yourself some money, you know, by just doing it yourself, and also track down all the components as cheaply as possible, you could build yourself a really decent computer, tiny little NUC one like this, and put it all together yourself and save, you know, a nice little bit of chunk of change, shall we say. Alrighty, well, hopefully, you know, people have liked this video, and if you have done, have a little look through my playlists as well, because there are more, well, there will be even more stuff coming up to do with like computery things. I'm starting to do a little bit more computer and hardware things on my channel as well, so there will be, you know, kind of like playlists to take care of a bunch of those things and whatnot. So if you've like, you know, if you found the video interesting, give it a, you know, bit of a thumbs up and all that stuff. Subscribe to my channel, click on the bell notification icon, doing that thing for future notifications for future videos and all that. And so the last thing that now remains for me to say is, I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.